All right, there you go. All right, so how's it going, Aaron?
Good, good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Nice Friday night. Yeah, here to talk about wrestling and indie wrestling and pretty much other topics if you want to discuss them too. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm open for whatever.
All right, sounds good. Talk about how you first got into wrestling.
Yeah, so kind of like anybody else, I lived in a small town and there was a little movie rental place there, and they started getting wrestling VHSs. So I would
Oh,
rent like WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 4, and then that turned into all the in your house shows and all that stuff. And every now and then I would get Clash of the Champions on one of my local TV stations, and I always like the second I saw it, it just grabbed me. I was like, "Oh boy, I like this almost as much as I like Star Wars," and that's saying something. So,
mm.
um, me and a couple buddies started screwing around on a trampoline, doing all the moves you see on TV. And then I heard through the grapevine that there was a group of kids that lived about 5 miles away from my hometown that had built like an outside ring in their yard. So I went and checked it out. I knew one of them, so I kind of knew where they lived. And I went there one day, and they literally just had hay bales with tarp and twine wrapped around four trees that kind of made the shape of a ring. So we started doing what we knew there. And then we did that for about a year, and we would film it and stuff. And then a couple of the guys happened to be on, I don't know if it was a website back then or what it was, but they found a wrestling ring for sale from Minnesota.
Oh,
So they went up there one day and they bought it from a guy named Mike Diamond, who was actually a referee back in the day. And it turns out the ring I found years later was an old AWA training ring.
oh.
So we brought that down there and then started wrestling in a ring, and then did that for a couple years. And we were complete backyarders. None of us knew what we were doing. We were just learning from watching Rob Van Dam and ECW and all that stuff. And then one day we heard about this group from Albert Lee, Minnesota doing the same thing we were doing. So we somehow got in touch with them, probably AOL Instant Messenger back then. I mean, this is long before Facebook.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and a couple of them came and checked out our show, and those guys were Shimdog, Cowboy Gator McGraw, and a couple other guys that you guys have probably never heard of. But they came down and invited whoever of us wanted to come up to a show up in Minnesota. So a couple of us went to the show in Minnesota, and they were like, "You guys want to have a match on the show?" And we're like, "Well, yeah. Now we're wrestlers, right? We're traveling indie wrestlers. Look at us." So
Hmm.
I actually wrestled a wrestler, and his name was Chris Canada. He was my best friend. And they were like, we had a completely different style than the Minnesota guys did. So they invited me back. I kept coming back to those shows. That promotion was called AWO. That's where Shimdog, Cowboy Gator McGraw, Cody and Corey O'Neill, and a couple other guys got their start. So I became pretty good friends with the guys, and I actually ended up moving up to Minnesota because they were running shows almost every single weekend in southern Minnesota. Like literally in the year 2001 or 2, AWO was voted the second best promotion in the state. It was Steel Domain, and then it was AWO. Like that's because we ran a lot of shows, and we were terrible. Okay, we didn't know what we were doing.
Hmm.
But and then from there, we heard about a wrestling show in Faribault, Minnesota. So a couple of us went to that show because we didn't realize that other people were doing this wrestling thing, right? So
Yeah.
this is how long ago this was. This is going to blow your mind. So we go to the wrestling show, and there were guys like Kevin Kruger and Cujo and Adrian Lynch was on the show. The referee was Eric Cannon.
Oh. Eric Cannon, the
Yeah.
referee.
He was the
Wow.
ref, dude. He had never wrestled a match before. He was still in training. And we started chanting. He was using his real name at the time, which I will not give away. But so we were chanting ref, his real name. And at the end of the show, he ended up punching the sheriff, Johnny Emerald, who was the trainer back then. He punched him. And after that, the very next show, they started using Eric Cannon regularly on all their shows. So not that he wouldn't have got there, but we kind of pushed the fact that Eric Cannon had to go from reffing to being a wrestler. And then we talked to a couple guys at that show. MPW had an open house. So me, Shimdog, Cody O'Neill, and Gator McGraw all went to MPW's open house and started training. And that's kind of how the long story of how I ended up getting started and moved to Minnesota and got going with wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, it's a pretty good start though. Yeah, start at the bottom and you just keep going to where you are. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse, you got a question?
Yeah, Aaron. All right. I know that you recently returned to the AWF Tony DiNucci's promotion.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on taking Stonehenge's bounty and going after Petey Brown at all?
Hi. This could be a deep subject. My relationship with Tony DiNucci in the AWF is very weird. So Tony had run a lot of shows, right? Yeah, Tony had been around for a long time and run a lot of shows.
Yep.
And he was having success, but he could never come back to a town and build a crowd. For some reason, he was having problems with that. So he changed the way he did stuff, and he brought in a couple guys from Wisconsin. One is Juice Robinson, who's a pretty big star in the wrestling world right now.
Impact, I believe.
And Juice was like day one out of camp at this point. Had a great look, but he was greener than grass. He brought in Angel Armani, who some people know who he is from Wisconsin. And then he brought in the O'Neill twins and brought in me and Johnson. And John Johnson, we were the Misfits. We wore the kilts together. So the main show of the year was in Elk River. And the first year we were there, it drew like 1,300 people, which is awesome. The next year we drew 1,800. The third year we drew 2,500 people when we filled up the Elk River High School because they built up this storyline with us, the Misfits versus the O'Neill twins. I wrestled for Tony for 4 years regularly. Like, he was basically the only promotion I was wrestling for at that time. I'd do some other stuff here and there. The O'Neill twins decided they were going to get out of the business, and I had an issue traveling by myself that far. I just didn't want to travel that much anymore. It's from where I live to most of Tony's shows is close to 3 hours, and that drive by yourself one way sucks. So I asked for some more money. He didn't think it was worth it, which is fine. It's a business decision. It's not personal. But so recently when the AWF was down here by Albert Lee at a little town called Glenville, I reached out to a couple guys that run their booking, and I said I'd like to be on. They're like, yeah, let's go, of course. And then for some reason, the person who books that promotion chose not to use me on a casino show they had about 10 miles south of where I live. And I've reached out a couple times, and I get one answer from Tony, and I get another answer from his booker. So I don't know. I like to wrestle for the AWF here and there, but you'd have to ask the guy that books for Tony DiNucci why I don't wrestle for AWF.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys know who books for AWF?
Currently it's Petey Brown now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there was a different. Yeah, there was a different guy before PD, and
Yep.
now I guess he did some stuff. But yeah, currently it's PD Brown.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you'd have to ask Petey. I'd like to, but best of luck to Petey.
mhm. Yeah, I could probably talk to him and say you got to have Corbin on the show, or I'm not going. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
be
we're going to be
curious to see
having
what he said
PD
to
on the
that.
show here next Wednesday. Maybe that's a question we can ask of him
Yeah.
to what's going on.
See what he says. I'd like to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
We can definitely ask that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I know it would be short notice, but tomorrow I'm going to my first AWF show in Fargo, North Dakota, because I'm currently live in Moorhead, so I'm gonna go there
Oh,
because it's in the area. So yeah,
yeah. AWF. I mean, they run pretty good shows. They've got good production. I like what they do. I think the fundraiser angle is a great angle to run shows. That's a lot of what they do.
right.
I just think sometimes they go the route of saving money on talent to put more
Mm,
money in some people's pockets, where in the long run, I think if you use the better talent, and I'm not just saying myself, there's guys out there better than me, but I'm saying if you used better talent, the next time you would keep building your crowd up and eventually making more money. But sometimes you have to spend money to make money.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's always the sacrifice. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a question. What did I put? Yeah. So I was listening to a few years ago. You did a podcast with the State of Pro Wrestling, and you were talking about MPW Saturday shows, and you were talking about the show that Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles were on, and I was wondering
Yeah.
if you had any conversations or at least like a hello or anything to them.
Yeah. So Christopher Daniels is my personal favorite indie wrestler of all time.
He's pretty good.
Um,
Yeah.
I put for what I like in wrestling, I put him above Styles. I put him above Low Key, the top indie guys ever. And the reason is because Daniels was never the most athletic guy, right? He was never the best. He never had the best body, but he always worked a good gimmick, and I mean, he could wrestle, right?
Right. Yeah.
So all the guys at MPW knew this. They knew I was a huge Christopher Daniels mark. So Daniels and AJ walk in together, and AJ walked into the arena like he walks into Raw. He's got his hood down. He had a cap on and a hood and just looking at the ground. They went right up to the locker room. I went up there, and Christopher Daniels happened to put his bag down right next to where I sit normally.
Oh.
So I went up there, and he's like, "Hey, man, is it okay if I sit here?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, you're Christopher Daniels. You sit wherever the hell you want." And
Yeah.
at that time, he was the X Division champion.
Oh. Okay.
So we may or may not have opened his bag to see the X Division title.
Mm,
And he
yeah.
was also doing the Currymon thing at the time. Do you guys know what that is?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
he
he
did
kind of had that red.
Yeah, he did like a mask character and would do like a
Yep,
dance and
and
stuff. So
yep.
he actually had the Currymon gear with him. So we were like taking pictures with it, and he walked into the locker room and just goes, "Can I cuss on this thing?" "No, I won't cuss." He goes, "Off, guys, Jesus." I'm like, "Yeah, man, sorry, my bad, my bad." But he thought it was really funny, and AJ sat down right next to him. So it was me, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, and Eric Cannon kind of all in a row. And I made fun of AJ Styles' accent just because he's got a real deep Southern drawl, right? Like really. And
Yeah.
he thought it was really funny that I had the guts. So yeah, I just kind of BS'd with him the whole night. Daniels watched me put my match together, gave us a couple ideas. After the match, he gave us some really good critiques. They seemed to really enjoy the match, just told us some stuff we could do. They actually gave us a spot we used, and it went off perfect, and that was pretty cool. They were proud of us for doing what we did. I got to tell Christopher Daniels kind of what he meant to me as far as how much I was a fan of his. And he said he was really honored and had a real good talk. And I saw Daniels like 5 years later, and he remembered who I was, which I thought was really cool. Like the dude meets hundreds and hundreds of indie guys and probably hears all the time that, oh, you're my favorite, you know. But yeah, I remembered who I was. It was cool. I've seen AJ a few times since then, and he seems to recognize me. So yeah, it was a really cool weekend, man. Like just the advice from those two, getting to hear those two put a match together in the locker room. But yeah, two super, super nice guys. And they're just like us, man. They were making fun of each other. They were joking around, talking about the after party. You know, they're just two dudes who have got to make a living at this wrestling business. So yeah, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right, Jesse, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So, Aaron, last night me and you talked a little bit, and I told you I had a story for you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna break that out for you right now. It was, oh geez, maybe 13, 14 years ago at the Rochester Armory. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay.
It was for a Cody Rhodes autograph signing. And that was the first time I think I met you there, because I just got out of the line with Cody, and I knew who you kind of were, and I think Jay Saltis was with you, and I came nearly almost running up to you, and I'm like, "Aren't you Aaron Corbin?" And Jay's like, "Why, yes, it is. That's Aaron Corbin." And I know we ran into each other at the show, and you were such a good sport, because I came up to you kind of like pushing you a little bit, and you were such a good sport about it. So that's the first time I met you.
Yeah. Now that you say so, yeah, I remember that I was hanging out with ODB that weekend too. She was in town and she was kind of around. But yeah, I just happened to run into Jay Soltis over there, and I knew a couple guys that were backstage, so I got some comp tickets and all that. But yeah, I remember that. That was a fun weekend, and I got
Yeah,
really drunk with
it
some of the
definitely
guys
was.
after
I
the show.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I I love doing wrestling for that reason. You know, you get to run into people. It's still cool to me to this day that I get recognized by people, and you know, I've never taken that for granted. Like, it's crazy to me that people walk up like, "Aren't you Aaron Corbin?" And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm as excited as they are that they know who I am. You know, so it's pretty neat.
Well, I was waiting for you to say, "Well, no, I'm not Aaron Corbin."
Well, no.
I've done that once or twice.
But I kind of had that inkling that that's who you were.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jaron, next question.
Yeah. Let's see. How is the new generation, yourself and Cody O'Neill, formed?
So we were in MPW, and I had done a mask gimmick for a while called El Viejo. It was the straight comedy gimmick. And I just started wrestling as Aaron Corbin, and I was just kind of another guy on the show. Nothing was really catching on. Um, Cody O'Neill had just come out of a big feud with Eric Cannon and he didn't really have anything big to do. And he was tagging with, was it Delgado? He was tagging with was it Joey? And it was Pretty Boy Delgado was his name back then. And they were originally the new generation is what they called themselves. And this is right when Darren Corbin and Ryan Cruz had started. So I was tagging with Darren, and we were doing the Bye Bye Brothers and having a lot of fun with it. But we were getting to learn each other. And then they came one night. We were having two shows in one day. Where's my camera? Two shows. And the early show was going to be an all ages show, and the night show we were going to try to do an 18 plus show, kind of an R-rated type thing.
Mm.
So it was going to be like the afternoon would have been like a WWE, and the night show would have been like your GCW or ROH type, you know, a little more edgy maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, so then they came to us that afternoon and they're like, Aaron and Darren, we're breaking you two up, and
Mm.
we want and Aaron, we want you to join the new generation because Delgado, you're gonna go do this. And me and Cody O'Neill are best friends, like in real life. Like we've been best friends for a long time. So I was really excited. So yeah, that's how it started. I turned on Darren that night, and we started with kind of a soldier militant type thing. But we turned it into like we found pink hats and pink shirts and pink tights and pink laces for our boots, and we kind of pressed on the are these two a couple in real life type of thing. Like we really went for it, and
You guys really
people got a kick out of it. We were heels at the time, but people were excited to see us, but still wanted to see us get our butt whooped. And like we would really press the button, like, are these two in a relationship with each other? I mean, our tights had the Japanese symbol in Japanese writing said life partners on them. Like that's how much we pressed the issue. And like we would hold hands on the way out of the arena sometimes and stuff and really get people's bells, you know, turning. But yeah, man, that is by far the most fun I've ever had in wrestling. I think I don't, I'll be cocky for a minute and say we don't get near enough credit for changing how tag team wrestling is presented in Minnesota. Without us, I'm going to get heat for this, but he already doesn't like me. Without this, there's no Junk Squad. I don't think Darren Corbin and Ryan Cruz as the North Star Express probably did what they did. There's no Midwest Ground and Air with Nate Bash and Ben Saylor, which, you know, all of that led the way to your Airwolf and his bro, Airwolf and Angel Dorado, Top Flight and all that. And not that they've ever seen us, but just the culture we changed. Like before us, tag teams didn't dress alike. Tag teams didn't do tag team moves. It was like two singles guys who were just made into a team. Like we were a real tag team. We had matching gear. We came out together. All we did was tag team moves. And yeah, man, it was a freaking blast. Tag team wrestling is my personal favorite style of wrestling that there is. I love tag team wrestling. I would only do tag team wrestling if it was up to me. But yeah, most fun I've ever had in wrestling. Got to tag with my best friend for a couple years and had an absolute. And we got to do some cool matches because of it. A ladder match, cage match where he did a moonsault off the top of a cage. It was legitimately 14, 15 feet high. First time I ever bled in the ring was doing that. So yeah, some very, very cool things.
Mm-hmm. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Hmm. All right, Jesse, you got a question?
Yeah, so we're gonna break from the wrestling for just 1 minute. I I don't know where I seen it, but I hear you like to do some theater stuff as well.
Yeah,
Are you working on any plays right now?
I am. I actually left the play early tonight to come and do this. I am practicing. We are rehearsing for a play right now. It's a drama. It's a kind of a murder mystery, whodunit type of thing. But yeah, for years I had always wanted to try out for plays, and believe it or not, I always got nervous and would chicken out. I would never try out. Wrestling and plays are a lot alike, but very different because in a play, you're playing a character that's already written. In wrestling, you kind of write the character yourself. So, but yeah, finally I tried out. First play I tried out for, I got a really small part in it. And then the next play, the director actually called me and was like, I really want you to do this part. Will you do it? And it was like a kind of a trailer park. It was almost like Roseanne, like the TV show, just,
Oh,
redneck people that lived in a trailer park type of thing. And yeah, now I'm doing a drama. And in the summer, I plan to do Willy Wonka. I really want to play Willy Wonka really bad. And then we're actually voting on plays for the next season, and I'm trying to get the play Elf, just like the Will Ferrell movie Elf.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get him to do that, and I really want to play Buddy the Elf. So yeah, it's something different. It's a lot of fun. I get to use a lot of my stuff from wrestling in there, but yet it's quite different because you can't really improv in a play. Like, these are your lines, and you better do it. But I get to use a lot of my characterisms and mannerisms and stuff from wrestling in it. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun and super rewarding. It's been really cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had friends that say, "Hey, you should do theater and stuff." I'm like, it's way too difficult to do, and it's just cool that you were able to overcome that and do the stuff that you're doing, and you've always wanted to explore that. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool to hear that.
it's nerve wracking. Nick. The first time you try out, it really is, But and you realize it's everybody else is there doing the same thing, and it's a lot of fun. I've always had a dream, I guess. I'd like to be an actor on a bigger stage. I mean, I'd love to be in movies and all that stuff, and that's kind of always been where I saw myself ending up. And I'm learning some really cool stuff, but yeah, I think anybody that wants to should just try it. I mean, the worst they can say is no, you know.
Right.
So, but it's tough. I get it. It's tough to stand up in front of people, and like, I don't like my singing voice at all. And for the last play, I had to sing for my audition, and I hated it. I was really nervous, but you could put me in front of a wrestling crowd and tell me to go sing so the crowd boos me, and I could do it in a second with no problem. But when you actually have to be good at it because you're gonna showcase it, that's a different story.
Yeah, singing's another thing. Like I could definitely never do that. I'm just a talker. And definitely going up and singing, that would, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary, man. It is.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me go with another question. What is the best way to get over in wrestling?
Whoa. Um, Damn, that's a loaded question. The best way to get over in wrestling is find something in yourself that not everybody else has. Is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the short version. Let's break down some guys, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Cannon, right? Let's take him. What can he
Yeah.
do better than anybody else besides drink beer? Because he can do that really good.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Eric Cannon used to be the sober guy in the locker room and get mad at all of us for drinking. I just want to throw that out there really quick. He's like, "Oh, you guys just go get drunk all the time, and drinking is stupid." No, that's all the dude does. But Eric Cannon can technically wrestle better than anybody, right? His technical wrestling is better than anybody. So that's what he does, right?
Right.
Airwolf, Angel Dorado, they can do the high flying stuff better than anybody else. I can't do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I can do some of it, but it looks really sloppy. It doesn't look near as good. So
Right.
you look at a guy like, who are some of your guys' favorites? Throw out some names you like around the state.
One of my favorites, I don't think he's currently wrestling anymore, but Ricky Love, who wrestled a few years ago.
Okay, Ricky Love, right? Ricky
Mm-hmm.
Love had the flowing red hair, right? And Ricky Love was really good at doing power moves, right? And being a big guy. So he did
Yeah.
that better than everybody, right? What works for me is I'm really big on character, right? I have this ability for some reason to really piss people off,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I took this part of me and I just turned it up to 10. And that's what's got me booked everywhere. I have this ability that if you put a microphone in my hand, I'm quick-witted enough and I've got enough character that I can really make people mad. So I turn that up to 10. So I guess that's my long answer. Whatever it is that you have that is unique, turn it up to 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're there's some guys out there who are terrible wrestlers, but they sell a ton of merchandise because they
Yeah.
make really cool merchandise and people love them for that. And that's fine, right? If
Mm-hmm.
that's your thing, that's fine. There are guys out there who are great wrestlers but don't have a lick of character.
Yeah.
Like, look at a guy like on the indies back in the day. There's a guy named Davey Richards, right? He had zero personality, but he was a wrestling machine, so that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a guy like Orange Cassidy. Orange
Yeah.
Cassidy can wrestle his ass off, but he doesn't need to every night. The dude can get as over as anybody else by just sticking his hands in his pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that makes him different. He found a gimmick that was different than everybody. Kenny Omega can wrestle better than anybody on the planet. So every time he goes out there, he has the best match you've ever seen. Right? So it's all of that. Just whatever you're good at, turn it up to 10. Whatever you're not good at, dial it down to 0.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way to put it. And
Yeah.
I think I've heard a few wrestlers say that before too. And obviously
Yeah,
it works. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want to go, Jesse?
Sure. I'm gonna throw a question out for you. Okay, brother tag team wrestling. I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but you and Darren are actually brothers, correct?
Mm.
What do you guys think?
I think so.
I would
So
have
I'm
said
gonna go ahead
no,
and
but
ask
the
this:
looks
if
pretty good.
if the O'Neill twins were still wrestling today, and it was the Corbins versus the O'Neill twins, who would win?
The Aaron Corbin bad guy in me wants to say those damn O'Neill twins don't stand a chance, man.
Mm-hmm.
But the wrestling booker side of me that knows what leaves the crowd going home happy, the
Yeah.
O'Neill twins would probably hit one of us with the Spanish fly and beat us. Because there's a difference there, right? There is. Like, the character, I'm going to get those O'Neill twins, and those little twerps don't stand a chance. They're 5'2". You better stand up while you're talking to me. You don't stand a chance. But what's going to make the crowd happier at the end of the night? Me and Darren beating the O'Neills, or the O'Neill twins hitting the Spanish fly to beat me and Darren?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right?
That's a real good point that you
And
bring that up.
as far as the me and Darren thing goes, I like that people don't know either way. So I'm going to leave it at that.
I never just put it together.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna say you guys have to be this the looks and everything. So because I heard of you first, and then I'm like I heard of Darren Corbin. I was like, oh, are they related? And then like, yeah. I guess people at home, you guys can just guess. So, yeah.
Guess the way.
It's really anybody's guess if they're brothers or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love Darren. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, you were talking about booking, and I believe you were a booker, part of the booking for the 1029 annual 10th event in Minneapolis. You want to talk
Yeah.
about how that started?
Yeah. So years ago in MPW, a guy by the name of Buddha works at that bar, and that's like his local neighborhood bar. And he had wrestled back in the day. He did like a Sheik type gimmick. He had the like pointed tip shoes and all that stuff. And he used to come out with Sheik Adnan El Casey. And But anyways, they started doing shows there in the back lot. And every year was kind of the same crowd, and then it grew for a couple years and then would go down. And I like the guy, and I don't mean this as a personal attack if you're watching, but he had a guy named Johnny Goldengate book his shows. And Johnny Goldengate kind of had the same mentality I was talking with Tony DiNucci. It was book really cheap guys so I can have more money at the end of the night. Book my friends so they'll book me, which doesn't always work.
Right.
So I went one time to Buddha, and I'm like, you have one of the best locations for a show. We can grow this thing to sell out every year, but you gotta trust me. And Buddha goes, all right, start booking the show. So I've been booking it since. Our smallest crowd has been 400 people since I've started booking. It's hard as a booker to put your pride aside, right? Because a lot of us think we're the best out there and we're this and we're that. And yes, I have been the main event on some of the shows I have booked at 1029. I have. But I still don't feel like that's been the featured match there. Like on this last show, there was a tag match with I always forget their tag team name. Riley Jackson and who's his tag partner, Jaron? Riley's tag partner.
Oh, Levi Cruz, NDS.
Yeah. Riley
Yeah.
Jackson and Levy Cruz, yeah.
Or-
They tagged against Ryan Cruz and Devon Monroe, right? And the way they did it is Riley worked Ryan early in the show, and then Levy came out and caused a disqualification, and Devin Monroe came out and made the save, and the crowd went wild because they love him down there. So why wouldn't I feature that guy? Right? They love him. And Eric Cannon, who's basically the mayor of Minneapolis, of course I'm going to feature him on my show. And essentially, yes, does it cost more to run that show? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we're making more. The bar's happier. The crowd was absolutely rabid this year. The crowd was amazing. It was one of my favorite shows I've ever been on. I got to wrestle Black Stallion. We love wrestling each other there. We beat the tar out of each other, do some cool stuff, and the crowd chants all day. I mean, they did a sing-along to Sweet Caroline, for God's sakes. How cool is that at a wrestling show? Like, they had a blast. A lot of them sent me messages on Instagram, say thanks for the entertainment. That was one of the coolest things we've ever seen. And yeah, when I think of a show, I think if I'm a fan, what would I like to see from all the small stuff, right? Like I would like to see someone do a conga line around the ring. So I try to make that happen. I would like to see these two guys fight and bleed all over. I want to see a really good mat wrestling match. So I'll make that happen, and I love tag team wrestling. So why not put these two against these two who don't normally tag, but it could be a beautiful tag match. And everything turned out great. So yeah, we're doing it again this year, August 21st. We'll be back there. Under the tent again. They do drink specials, and the 1029 bar is world famous for their food. They've been featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives and on Food Network quite a few times. So yeah, it's one of my favorite shows of the year, and yeah, I look forward to it. It's going to be a fun one this year.
Yeah.
You might even see the Corbin brothers tag up on that show.
Ooh. Oh, there we go. Breaking news.
So then, Karen, we just heard the truth.
Yeah.
So, okay, Aaron, I think we'll each take one more question, then we'll let you go for the night. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
We would like to have you back on again. So here's my final question tonight is, okay, where can people catch you on the weekends?
So it depends what weekend. Some weekends, I would call my new home promotion Paradise City Wrestling. It's run by Mitch Paradise in Montgomery, Minnesota. It's at a place called The Revival on Main. It's actually a venue made to be a wedding venue, but it's just a really cool wrestling venue. It's got a really cool vibe. It's just one of those special places, and Mitch runs a great show. He brings in the top guys. He brings in some young guys. I will be wrestling there on March 5th. Is the next show there. And then March 26th, I am running a show in Faribault, Minnesota at the Trinity Lutheran Church. It's a fundraiser show. And on that show, so far, I have set will be myself, Black Stallion, Eric Cannon, Darren Corbin, Petey Brown. Who the hell else do I have on that show? Rob Justice, I think, will be there. And a couple other guys. So it should be a really good show. I do have my play coming up. That'll be at the end of March in Albert Lee. We'll run for 2 weeks. The play is called Death Trap. It'll be at the Marion Ross Performing Arts Center. The theater is named after the mother from Happy Days, Mrs. Cunningham. She was actually born in Albert Lee.
Right.
And quick pitch, if you're looking to buy a car, hit me up, because that's what I do for a living to make money.
Definitely.
Right, you're a salesperson at Dave Silverson Auto Center.
Yep,
Yeah.
Dave Severson and Albert Lee. We have 8 new brands of vehicles we sell and all the used stuff. And I set a sales record last month, best sales month in the history of the store. So hoping to keep that going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right. And yeah, that was actually one of my part of one of my questions. How did you become a salesperson at that place, and how were you? How did you get interested in doing stuff like that?
So I actually worked at what's called a buy here, pay here car dealership. It's like if you can't get financed anywhere else, this is where you go to get in-house financing, like if you have bad credit. I worked there with Cody O'Neill, actually. We were the manager and assistant manager there for a long time.
Oh.
And I was there for a long time and got fed up with that company. I didn't feel they treated the employees right, and I spoke up, and they were like, it's time to part ways. And the day I left there, I got a call from a good friend of mine here in Albert Lee. Was the top salesman at the time. And he was like, hey, I heard you just left over there. How about you come for an interview out here? They'd like to meet you. The managers would. So I went out there the next day. They liked my personality. They offered me a job. And I didn't know if I wanted to be in car sales or not. I just knew there was a chance to make money. But one of the better moves I've ever made in my life. I've never been in such a good place financially. Not that money's everything. And money doesn't buy happiness, but it can sure alleviate a lot of stress, let me tell you.
Right.
But I love it. I get paid to talk to people and go on test drives and make sure people are having a good experience. And I mean, people come in my office and don't know me from anybody, and they leave giving me hugs for a great experience. And I'm never buying a car from anyone but you. And like, that's the coolest feeling in the world, just to know you've taken care of somebody. And yeah, I've been there for 5 years now. 10 out of the 12 months last year, I was the top salesman. So I've been lucky enough to have a good run. But yeah, I like it. I get to support my family. I live comfortably with, my wife and my daughter. And I just became a new grandpa. So I get to support them and have time to do a job and career I love and still have time with my family. So, I mean, what more can you ask for,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Just one more comment just before we head out. But I would say, yeah. So I got into indie wrestling around 2017. I would say, yeah, the guys you mentioned, yourself, Mitch Paradise, and Ricky Love, AJ Smooth. I don't think if it wasn't for all you guys, I don't think I would have stayed into indie wrestling. And now it's just gotten pretty big. And yeah, my dad and I were a huge fan of you when we first saw you, and we got a Chuck. A few times we talked about your Fortnite promos that you've done in the past years. It's always fun to talk about that. But yeah, you're definitely a great wrestler, great talker on the mic. So yeah,
Oh.
hope you can keep wrestling for a few more years or as long as you want, and just keep doing your
Yeah, I have
stuff.
fun, and like I said, when I go out there, those promos are. If I was a kid right now, if I was a 10 or 12-year-old kid and I went to a wrestling show and one of the wrestlers made fun of me or yelled at me because I played Fortnite, like that's what I would want to see, and what's big right now? Video games, TikTok, right? So use
Yeah.
the stuff that's out there and make fun of these people, but the same people that I piss off are coming to me after the show and offering to buy me drinks and saying that I just made
Mm,
their week. I go out in the crowd and I grab a kid's shoe and I hit my opponent with it. That kid's never going to forget the fact that I grabbed his shoe, right? He's not going to
right.
forget that I used him as a human shield to stop Mitch Paradise from getting to me. He's
Mm-hmm.
not going to, I throw him off his chair to grab his chair to use it. I grabbed his drink and hit somebody with it. Like that's stuff these kids remember, and if I can be a little part of that and make some memories for them. And all week at school, they're talking about that wrestler grabbed my shoe and he threw it and he wouldn't give it back. What a jerk. And, they'll probably talk about that for a while. So I just love it, man. There's no better feeling to me in the world than going out there and knowing that I've got the crowd in the palm of my hand. I can make them laugh. I can make them cry. I can make them shout at me just by doing whatever I need to do. It's the coolest feeling ever. And hearing nice words from people like you who have been to shows and weren't sure if they were sticking around, and if I had any part in helping you stick around, that's cool. I think it's awesome that you make those action figures for us. The ones you
Mm-hmm.
made for myself and oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting David.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ones you made for us, they're sitting in my office at work. They sit right next to my desk by my phone. They're just chilling there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, people like you, who support wrestling, who buy tickets, who go and check it out, who are interested. Like, we can't do what we do without fans and people like you, right? And you telling us thank you, buying the t-shirts if we have them, buying the wristbands if we have them, giving a high five at a show, saying, "Hey man, nice to see you again. Hope you're okay." Little stuff like that, that's why we do what we do. So we appreciate people like you, as much as you appreciate us. So, big thanks for me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it's definitely been fun to talk to you and talk about your career and in wrestling and even in theater and being a car salesperson and how you're pretty much a veteran in the Minnesota area now. So yeah, we're
I'm the old guy
glad
now.
you'll get. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I mean you're a little bit older, I guess. So, yeah, yeah. But yeah, we want to thank you for being on the show and keep doing what you're doing. And Jesse, if you have some last comments too, I'll let you add that in.
Um, yeah, definitely. It was fun having you on, Aaron. It was good talking to you again, and like I said, we'd love to have you back on. Maybe
Yeah.
a week before your Fairboat show, we can book you and get you some time to talk about the show more.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you guys want to chat, that's great. And like I said, if you know ever need to know anything about the Minnesota indie scene, feel free to ask away. And if you guys are looking for some serious stuff to cover down the road, I don't know which direction you're going. You should look at covering stuff about promotions that are using guys that have done bad stuff to women in the locker room in the past who shouldn't be wrestling anymore, but promotions still use them. So if you do some investigating, you'll find out what I mean. But I would, I really wanted to use this. It's been positive the whole time, and I want to end positive, but I want to say there are promotions in Minnesota who should be ashamed of themselves for a couple guys they are using who have done bad stuff to women in the locker room who are our sisters, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are girls that trust us, come in the locker room with us. They're our sisters, our friends. They're being mistreated, and it's not fair. And when they report it and they speak out, and they get the guts to say something, that there are still promotions that use these scumbag human men that have no business being around the business that we love when they treat other people in the business like that. So those couple guys know who they are, and they know how to get a hold of me if they'd like to chat. I'd love to talk to you, but as positive as wrestling is, we need to protect everybody in it. The men and especially the women need to be protected and feel safe in these locker rooms where usually there's only one or two women and the rest are men. So I just wanted to use your guys' platform quick to say that a woman should feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, say something. Call me if you need anything. You have other guys like Eric Cannon, Darren Corbin, Ryan Cruz, and 99% of the guys you can go tell if you need anything. So I just wanted to leave it on that women should feel safe, and it's a shame that promotions put booking someone in front of the right thing to do.
Yeah, that is a good thing to
Yeah,
say.
that's very good advice.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your time, Aaron.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. You take care, okay? I appreciate it.
Yep, you have a good night.
You too.
Yep.
All right.